So we're talking about Oddity, which is a 2024 Irish horror film written and directed by Damian Mc Carthy. Look who's here, Matt is here, we are Boys on Film, my name is Phil. Good to see you again, Matt, after talking about Maxine. Hello. Lots of horror films out this year. It's a good year for horror fans.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up I kind of want to check out that might be for a different video.
So this is a film that a lot of people seem to be talking about. It's a real hot ticket, I think, for fans of the genre, and it seems to be in those lists of, most exciting horror films of the year kind of thing. It always seems to be in those lists. So it centres on a blind medium and curio shopkeeper still grieving the death of her twin sister a year before, and it's filmed in Ireland. It's filmed in the location where the director shot his previous film, which you've seen, which is called Caveat.
Caveat is kind of a similar film in that it deals with a kind of situation where there's very few characters in each film, and they're always in isolated locations, kind of not in a city, but in the woods or in an isolated kind of natural setting, in a house that's kind of creepy, decrepit. This one, the house is very nice and like stylish, but in Caveat, it's more of a kind of creepy setting. And it's a lot about isolation and confinement and things from the past haunting these people who are being isolated. I don't know if that's a theme of the movies he wants to make, one after the other is all about the same theme, but Caveat is really a fantastic film. It's super small budget, but it doesn't feel cheap. It feels really well done. It looks fantastic. Filled with dread, like this movie is, where just you feel like something's terrible is going to happen, but it creeps up and it doesn't really happen, but then eventually it does happen. That kind of a vibe, and it's really weird. I mean, both movies have really weird settings and weird kind of fascinations with odd objects, little like toys and kind of dolls, and if that kind of creeps you out, creepy like man-made like life-size dolls creep you out, then you're in for a really scary treat in this movie because that's a big part of the film.
Yeah, definitely. And apparently the director was working on Oddity when he was making Caveat. So, I mean, that in itself is, a big tick. I mean, that's hard work to be concentrating on two films at the same time. That's crazy to think that he was working on two films. But anyway, yeah, you're right, because this has a, human-sized wooden doll, kind of. It is a doll, isn't it? It's like a mannequin, isn't it?
Like an armature doll. Do you know what that is? You can flex the arms and legs and hands. It's like that, but like truly like 6 feet tall, like life-size creepy doll.
So this curio shopkeeper, whose sister died the year before, she actually goes to this barn where her late sister's husband still lives with the new girlfriend, and it turns out that they got together pretty much at the same time, or not long after, her sister's death. But yeah, I didn't see the outcome at all, so it was a real surprise. I think the story, it is really interesting, and also, like you said, the atmosphere in this is really tense and kind of ghost-like. It's like a ghost story in a way, isn't it? It's got that kind of, I know it's shot in Ireland, but it's what the UK and Ireland are famous for in a way, especially like back in the 70s. A lot of kind of folk horror films were really good at this kind of atmosphere, and the vibe is brilliant.
Yeah, it has. That's kind of the strongest thing I think it has going for it, is that it's a very kind of vibey film as opposed to a heavily plotted film, because there's not a very complicated story. It's pretty simple. There's a lot of the film that's very silent, so people kind of sitting in silence in scary, creepy, like haunted places. And if that's your thing, then you kind of came to the right place, because it really does a great job of kind of just setting up that cold feeling of dread. Both of these films, I know we're kind of, I'm kind of talking about both of his films at the same time, but they both are set in haunted houses that feel really cold and dark and kind of foggy. Like everything always seems really dank. And in Caveat, it's a much more just kind of disheveled building, but in this one, I think it's supposed to be a very fancy kind of like remodeled. I don't know if it's not a castle, but it seems kind of like
I know what
a
you mean.
strange kind of like medieval castle that they
Yeah,
live
I mean,
in.
it's beautiful. It looks almost like a modern conversion of a barn, but it's still, you don't have any carpet, you don't have any wallpaper or anything. It's slate and rock, isn't it? That fundamentally makes up the barn. So it's all brown.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no light. I mean, it's a very dark building, isn't it? But it's beautiful. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
plush.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like a church, like some kind of modern like 70s stone and wooden church
Yeah.
interior, along with like modern conveniences inside of it too.
The acting is really good in this as well. And we were talking about Maxine on a previous video and the fact that Mia Goth plays, two characters, an ex. In this, we've got Carolyn Bracken, who plays two characters. She plays the blind sister and she plays also the character, the sister that dies. So very clever because, both characters do seem different, even though they feel like sisters. They've got different traits and different characteristics. So I think, that's a really good job done, I think, for that actress.
Oh yeah, she's really good. I mean, the sister who dies, she's not really in the film for very long. It had her death is pretty early on in the film. No spoilers, but it's mainly about the blind sister. That's 90% of the actress's role, and she's great. I mean, the character is haunted as a person and kind of just very strange as well. And she's like a woman who has no sense of boundaries with
Yeah.
other people. So, I mean, the whole point is she comes to her former brother-in-law's house and is just kind of, I'm here and I'm staying. And it's all about him trying to deal with the situation that she's kind of invaded his life. And I think he thought he was done with her, but
Yeah. I
she's
loved her for
back.
that. She was so ballsy. She just didn't give a shit. She just walked in and was really persistent. And some really good jump scares as well. I mean, I'm not a lover of
Oh
jump
yeah.
scares when they're shoehorned into a horror film, but these were really effective and they weren't overdone. I mean, there was a few, probably maybe four or
Yeah, there was
five.
about I don't even think I think there was more like two or three.
Okay.
So it was a small number and they were really great. Yeah, they were really effective. This movie isn't something you want to see if you're really into like action horror or something. It's very slow moving and kind of calm and sedate, but it
Yeah.
has it has moments to like wake you up and kind of freak you out a little bit, which
Yeah.
I liked.
I thought it was a little bit hypnotic. I was a little bit hypnotized by it. Yeah, I certainly was not bored, but I felt like I was lulled into this sense of foreboding, and
Yeah,
I went with it. I liked it.
yeah, there's a slow burn quality to this and to his other film where it's if you're into that kind of film, it'll completely suck you in. But if you're someone who needs something to happen all the time, you're going to be probably bored. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means people who need constant stimulation or be bored with the film. It makes you kind of sit with these characters and try to figure out their motivation and figure out why they're doing what they're doing in such a strange manner. It's
Yeah,
really he's a really interesting, strange filmmaker, and I'm excited to see what he keeps doing I think his budget keeps increasing a little bit, so I'd like to see what he would do with like a much bigger budget and almost see what it would be like with like stars in it, like known actors and see what kind of world he could create in it. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because I'm all for a slow burn if I'm enjoying the mood of that film and it's going somewhere. And it did, it did take me to places I wasn't expecting. And also I kept guessing as well, and I kept wondering who the real villain was because there were, that kept changing. I'm not saying it was
Yeah.
a massive like plot twist or anything, but it did keep me guessing until the end, until the credits rolled. And yeah, I thought it was quite a stylish film actually. I thought it was really well made.
Yeah, I agree.
So, star rating, Matt, for Oddity. What are you going to say?
Hmm. I would say 4 stars.
Yeah, I'm going with you.
If you know it's going to be a slow burn, and it's not even a very long film. I think it's like 85 minutes or something, or maybe 90 minutes, but you have to really want to be invested in kind of this slow reveal of these characters and what their motives are. If you're in the mood for that, it's really great.
Yeah, I felt spooked out, and in a nice way as well. It was almost like a comforting spooked out, if that makes sense, because I felt quite cozy, and I think it's all down to how a film looks as well, because if a film looks good, and obviously the location as well was great. I mean, County Cork, that's where it was filmed, where like I was saying, the director filmed Caveat, the film before, and now I want to go and check out that film, so maybe we could do a review of that at some point.
Okay.
I'm waffling
More
now.
Halloween kind of vibe.
Halloween. We've got some horror films to review for Halloween, hopefully. So, yeah. Hopefully you'll come back for more, Matt.
Of course.
And good luck with your album. Mentioned it on the last video, but just remind us.
It comes out on September 6th, and it's called Chimeras, and the band is Microfilm, and it's streaming everywhere, but it's also on our de facto website, which is microfilm.bandcamp.com, and you can buy it there. It's really affordable. It's really good. It's all dance music, so if you want fast-paced, strange electronic dance music, but not EDM, you should check it out.
Sold. Brilliant. We'll leave all the details down below as well. And by the way, Oddity, if you want to check that out, it premieres on Shudder Friday the 27th of September. Good to see you, Matt. We'll see you on the next one.
Me too.